Hey guys, this is little Daggy here. I got the nickname from my older brother named Daggy, and they call me Little Daggy. So anyway, that's the name I'm going to go with today. So anyway, I'm bringing this video to you today to try to help you out with your finances. If you're interested in making some money and making some mad gains, if you knew that you could make help your friends, help your relatives, help your children, help your neighbor, well, maybe not your neighbor, but if you knew people that you worked with closely within your circle of influence, and if you could help them make money by investing in cryptocurrency, and you knew that there's a really reasonable expectation of what you might make, wouldn't you want to share that information with people? Wouldn't you want to share that with the people that you love to help them, to benefit them financially? I know I would. So anyway, I'm going to try to create this video to give you a brief overview of what I'd like to share with you today is something called Pulse. It's the Pulse chain. It's a blockchain. Similar to trying to explain it to you would be, most people know about the granddaddy of them all called Bitcoin. And if you've got Bitcoin at, let's say, $1 or $5, well, look at where it's at today. So there's a great return on investment. But that is what I've learned called an ecosystem. There's an ecosystem called Bitcoin. There's also an ecosystem called Ethereum, the Ethereum blockchain. It's an ecosystem. Well, there is a new upcoming ecosystem called Pulse Chain. I want to give you a little background because you need to know where we came from to know where we are going. A friend of mine who I've known for almost 8 years, we both invested into a stock that, I'll be honest with you, has not done very well. We both are upside down on our investment, and we've kept in touch. He and I have developed a friendship, and he got in touch with me, well, let's just say a few years ago, and tried to pump Bitcoin to me. He was trying to give me information about Bitcoin, and I could care less. I didn't care. I wasn't interested in Bitcoin. Well, when he bought Bitcoin, Bitcoin was right around $5,000 per coin. And back then, I told him I needed an education. I needed an education to know what I was doing. So he was sending me all sorts of information so that I could learn about cryptocurrency, but I could care less. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have time for it. Wasn't interested. With that said, I do not have a professional license to give stock advice. I am just a guy like anybody else, just like you. I'm no better than you. I just have done my homework and tried to learn on the fly about investing. So I do it more as a hobby, but I've learned a lot, and I have to have that disclaimer there that what I'm going to tell you is not necessarily financial advice. It's just something that you need to do your own homework about, and you need to learn about, so that you too can have the possibility of benefiting from this new ecosystem called Pulse. Now, my friend who got in touch with me about Bitcoin, that, he got involved in Bitcoin at $5,000, and then he sold approximately $20,000. He no longer holds Bitcoin, but I've known him for a long time, and I trust him. So he reached out to me this past April, let's just say the first week of April in the year 2021. He got in touch with me to inform me about a coin, a token called Hex. Now, at the time, I was like on the outside looking in, but he shared with me some personal information. He shared with me his portfolio. Now, I don't share my portfolio with anybody. I don't share it with my wife. I don't share it with my significant others in my life, within my circle of influence. I mean, they might know a general idea, but here's a guy who shared with me his crypto portfolio. At that time, his portfolio value, the value of that was approximately, let me think, 5 times 3, about $350,000. Okay, and I'm going to share with you something. I'm going to have to like point on paper because I want you to know, because this is really important to know. This is key information to know and to understand. Hang around. My friend bought He bought 7 million HEX tokens. He paid $700. He paid $700. That's what it cost him. Okay, each one he bought at 0.0001. Okay, that's what he paid for it. If you take 7 million and you divide that, well, I'm sorry, you take the 700, that's the money he invested, you divide that by 7 million tokens, you'll get the 0.001 because that's how much he paid for it. Okay, now when he put this on my radar, HEX was at a nickel. So it had increased from here to there in about just a little over 2 years' time. So in 2 years' time, his $700 investment had grown. Take 7, multiply it by 5, you get 35. 7 times 5 is 35. That was $350,000 on a $700 investment. He had my attention. This guy had my attention. He didn't have my attention with Bitcoin, but now he's got my attention. I'm also going to talk about Pulse. I'm talking about HEX right now, but there's a reason why I'm talking about HEX, because the people who developed HEX are currently developing Pulse. Okay, this is a token. Pulse is a blockchain. It's an ecosystem. It's an entirely new, faster, cheaper, less or more energy efficient. It's not a big carbon footprint. Okay, so this I watched from the sidelines before I invested in HEX. Okay, I watched this guy's portfolio go from a nickel back in April to just shy of 50 cents. It actually briefly kissed 50 cents. Ever so briefly. Right now, it's trading right around 40 cents, but it kissed 50 cents for a moment in time. And it was hovering for a long time at 45 cents. Do the math, get a calculator, take 50 cents, multiply it by 7 million, 7 times 5. 7 times 5, but we're moving the decimal place over. 7 times 5, it's 35. 0, but now you're moving the decimal place over, right? So now his $700 investment is worth $3.5 million. And I watched this with my own 2 eyes. I watched as his portfolio grew from a nickel when he first told me about it in April of 2021 until where it is today. Actually, today it's right about 40 cents. Okay, so 4 times 7 is 28. So right now it's worth 2.8 million. But it kissed 50 cents briefly. He was worth $3,500,000 on a $700 investment. That's all he paid. That's all he invested, sitting on $3.5 million, less than 3 years. This December coming up will be the 3rd year anniversary from the initial phase when HEX started. All right, now I give you this background because what's coming next is Pulse. And I will have another video that will follow that will explain why the excitement and everybody's enthused with what's going on with the Pulse ecosystem that is right around the corner. But I wanted to get this first one out of the way, this first video, to give some background. I wanted to see how this video would upload to my channel. This is all new to me, trying to do a video presentation, but we have a potential here to repeat. This Pulse and all the excitement that's going into it has the potential to repeat and do similar, and I do mean similar. I can't guarantee anything. Everything is speculation at this point, but I can give you a lot of links, a lot of other people that are creating YouTube content. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there, a lot of people creating content that I can send to you, and I'll just cover all that in upcoming videos. This is just my first one. I wanted you to pay attention because that got I watched it happen right in front of my own two eyes. I also personally got involved at 8 cents. So I was buying at 8 cents, and then I was buying at 10 cents. I was buying at 12 cents. I was buying at 16 cents. I was buying at 40 cents. But I only didn't have a whole lot of money to work with. So this was a very tiny investment. This was a tiny investment. This was a tiny investment. This was a tiny investment. Each one I was buying, so my average is probably closer to like 22, 23 cents, somewhere in there, okay? So anyway, that's enough for today's video, just to get started. Hopefully I've got your attention and you can pay attention to the next video coming up. Thank you.